Hey you guys, it's Marianne, and I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about some comma rules. So there's a million rules for commas, but I'm going to talk to you about 6 because these are the most common. At least they're the most common that I run into in my own reading, my own writing, and yours. Rule 1, between two independent clauses separated by a coordinating conjunction. All right, so Judd ate food. The food was gone. These are two separate sentences, and that's why they're called independent clauses. They can stand on their own. But the reason I put this in red is because we have a comma, but we also have a coordinating conjunction that is absolutely required. You cannot have that comma between two independent clauses without that coordinating conjunction. You have to have any fanboy in there. Again, that's why it's in red. You have to. I mean, that is like just urgently important. Again, he left the scene of the accident is one sentence. He tried to forget that it happened is another sentence. It can stand on its own. And then if you're going to combine the two, then you make sure you have that comma and coordinating conjunction. Any coordinating conjunction is fine. Nice is a word with many meanings that can stand on its own. Some of them are contradictory. That can stand on its own as long as you know what some is. But we can't forget that it is attached to this, so it does have a subject. So that's what we're going to pay attention to. It does have a subject, a verb, and a complete thought for the most part. So again, it's urgently important you have that comma, but make sure you have that coordinating conjunction too. Next, between 3 or more words, phrases or clauses in a series. So this is a series of phrases: reading all content in each week's folder, turning her work in on time, participating in Zoom classes. So if you happen to notice, this all has, for the most part, parallelism too. So we have the same structure for the most part in each of these items in this series. So after one item in a series, we have a comma. After the other item in a series, we have a comma. And then we have the last item in a series. Again, washed is a word in a series, comma. Groomed is the second word in the series, comma. And combed is the third word in the series. So you got to make sure you have those commas. The contractor testified that he retained subcontractors, comma. So the series begins with retained contractors, completed the work, and cleaned up his mess. So those are the items in a series. Retained subcontractors, completed the work, cleaned up his mess. And then between each item in that series, we have a comma. Make sure you use it between 2 or more adjectives. Frilly and pink both describe dress. Frilly does not describe pink. So because both of these adjectives describe dress, you put a little comma there. Madame de Stael was an attractive, gracious lady. Again, attractive describes lady. Gracious describes lady. So put a little comma there. Dirty describes taxicabs. Illegal describes taxicabs. Dirty is not describing illegal. So we have to put a little comma because both of these adjectives describe taxicabs. The uninvited guest wore a dark blue tweed suit. Again, dark blue is considered one word here. So and it's not describing the tweed, it's describing the suit. So again, the comma, and because dark blue is one adjective, tweed is another, and then we put a little, that they're both describing suit. And then I wanted to show you the difference between a couple things. The uninvited guest wore a dark blue tweed suit. So here, there's no hyphen, so it's not considered one adjective, one word. But here, dark is describing blue. So dark is not describing suit, it's describing blue. So we don't put a comma between the two, because at this point, dark is an adverb, because adverbs describe adjectives, adverbs, and fellow verbs. So there's no comma between adverbs and adjectives. So yeah, but blue describes the suit, tweed describes the suit, so you put a little comma between the two adjectives. These are non-essential clauses. That means the stuff that's highlighted is not needed to understand the sentence, hence a comma before and after. Becca is not needed to understand that she played soccer. The dancer who lived in Texas just has nothing to do with the dancer performing well. Oil, which is lighter than water, is not needed to understand the sentence, the rest of the sentence. Which were once popular. Again, vests, which were once popular, are not needed. It's not essential to understand the sentence. Okay, so after introductory clause phrases are words, we have a word. It's an introductory word. We have a comma. Introductory word, comma. Introductory word, comma. After surviving the ordeal is an introductory phrase or clause, and then put a little comma. Because of their opposition to institutions that force creatures to live in captivity, that is an introductory clause. So then you put a little comma after. And finally, my favorite one of all, because I consider subordinating conjunctions robbers because they pull a complete thought out of a sentence. So if we have a subordinate conjunction ahead of an independent clause, it makes it a dependent clause because that subordinating conjunction pulls the complete thought out of the sentence. So if we got rid of while, Colin explained himself as a complete sentence. But unfortunately, while is in there, and we have to consider it a dependent clause. When a dependent clause heads up or comes before an independent clause, we got to have a comma after it. So as she regulated the course of heavenly bodies, so if you take out as, which is a subordinating conjunction, it would make sense, and it could stand on its own if you said she regulated the course of heavenly bodies. So again, as you add that robber, that subordinating conjunction to the beginning of this independent clause, it makes it a dependent clause. So if a dependent clause it comes before the independent clause, you got to have a comma. Once he learned how to be polite, so again, once is our subordinating conjunction. It heads off an independent clause. Well, it's in an independent clause, so it makes it a dependent clause. And again, it comes before an independent clause, which is a complete sentence. So if it comes first, then you put a little comma. If this comes first, you don't. Like if the independent clause comes first, you don't put a comma after the independent clause if the dependent clause follows, just so you know. Anyways, I'm sorry this was long, but at least you know. Have a great day.